Welcome back. Good morning. All right. New all-time highs and more are coming? I suppose so. Last week we were in a trading range and supposed to in a trading range and an uptrend supposed to break out. Before we get to the charts, MT Live this week. Going to do something a little different. Well, we'll be looking at some charts and talk about trader psychology, mindset, why people make it, why they don't. It'll be an interesting one. So get registered for that. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Sign up for MT Weekly Advantage if you want the recording and view some older ones. Dan's trade analysis during the week. Well, one of the trades, all of the details as to why it was taken, money management, and so on and so forth, and some lessons. So great, great service. All righty, let's get to the charts. See what's going on here this morning. E-signal. There we go. So Bitcoin, new all-time highs. Looks like it's going to go higher. And like all we have is the chart to rely on, but this looks like it can go much higher. And the reason I say that is, if you look at the weekly chart, it's got a big bottom, big bottom, call it a head and shoulders, call it a shakeout, call it what you want. It's a bottom. It looks at the gap down reversal at 100,000, and then it breaks out, and so far it's consolidating. So it's had like a year of consolidation. It tightened up at resistance, and then it went higher. So it has all of the attributes of something that could go higher, and it's all-time highs, which means there's no resistance. And we're just getting a consolidation here. It's chopping around a little bit. It's not extended from support or the moving averages. It does have an unfilled gap, but overall, it says it's going up. So that's a bias. Now, monitor, find an entry point, stocks or ETFs, so on and so forth. And IWM, it was down a little bit last week as most things chopped around. And there's no pattern here as far as the daily time frame to say, let's do something. Earlier last week, I was thinking lower high, lower low, which it made, and then it popped up with everything else. Wednesday was a turn day. And then most things that showed some strength moved up on Thursday and Friday. This didn't move as much. Q's, SP, Spiders new all-time highs, and then backed off. They got rejected. It was options expiration. When we came into last week, we talked about the fact that that was likely to be the case. Getting pinned between 6,300 and 6,200, and that's exactly what happened. So now we see, option expiration over, handcuffs off. Let's see which way it's going to move. And so this right now is directionless. NQs, new all-time highs. And, that little dip that occurred on Wednesday got the rejection the prior day, and then the dip to support. Buyers are stepped up. It broke out. It's consolidating. Suggests it's going to go higher. Right? So buy dips from intraday, from a swing trading perspective. Maybe it would be great to get a continuation pattern here, right? A correction bar that takes out the prior low and then closes strong. That would be a clear, obvious pattern that says buy, it's going higher. A move under Wednesday's low, I think, in anything that had a reversal day on Wednesday is going to be a sign of weakness. Maybe something correction beginning to happen. Remember, I think it was like back on this day here, our internals reached a moderate bearish extreme, which we'll take a look at. You can see the cursor, right there on that day as it poked up. and we had the SPX push up there, and came back in, and it corrected sideways through time. And you can see the bottoming tail bar there. And as this went sideways, you see the breadth deteriorated, and even with the end of the week strength, it couldn't get above zero. So internally wise, that's not a positive sign, but that doesn't mean certain stocks can't go up. And if these markets, others that we'll take a look at, begin to show some strength, this will pop higher. So again, use Wednesday's low as a short to intermediate term reference point as to any deterioration, more significant deterioration, and at the moment that a break below that, especially on a closing basis, would be a negative thing. Sentiment is hanging up here. So this put call ratio is up in the upper bands there. This one just below. So if we could get those moves to new all-time highs this week and breadth pushing up, and these will easily push deeper into a bearish area, we'll have more concerns as to a correction. And of course, if this should accelerate higher, it opens up what we call that void. And at that point, with the internals aligned, if things should line up that way, the probability of breaking this low increases in a significant amount. So, S&Ps sideways, chop all week, tried to move up, didn't get far, consolidating, bullish, uptrend, Wednesday's low, and we'll see that as we look at other markets. Russell, this was where there was, and still is to a certain extent, greater hopes that this sector would bring up the rear in a meaningful way. And what does that mean? Well, that means that it's been a laggard, and now, because the others are, maybe short-term extended, but they're really not, because they went sideways for almost 2 weeks. This could begin to outperform. And so as we look at this consolidation, still, if it can get through here, it has a lot of potential to at least move up to this area. And I'll take a look at the ETF to get a better view. This drawing down here, I was showing last week how those that use indicators would look at this and say, oh, there's a bearish divergence, and overbought, bearish divergence, it's going to pull back. And problem with these kind of things, first of all, it misleads you. This is where the action is, not down here. And if this breaks out, this is just going to go up. So what to do with this? Erase it. You have this stuff on your chart, erase it. Okay. Gold, is it going to get out of its way? It looks like it's ready. It looks like it. All right, it's the beginning of the day, but taking out that pivot high, and it's got room to go up. So that is interesting. All right, I like that. Silver has been outperforming lately, and it really should have done something, I think, just because when it begins to outperform and gold was underperforming, I was hopeful that this could take off. And maybe it will this week, but if the money is shifting toward gold, this may not move, but maybe we'll get surprised and they'll move together. I mean, something we'll keep an eye on. Oil not doing anything, the big drop, it held rejection. It didn't go far, trading range. I don't know what it's going to do. So stay away. There's no pattern here. There's nothing on the weekly chart. Leave it alone, set alerts, and see which way it might go. All right, the dollar. What is the dollar doing? Gold's up. All right, it's gapping down, so that makes sense. All right, dollar was up at resistance there. It's been having some short-term strength there. The market's kind of ignored it. I'm going to see if this is bottoming out. Not ready yet for any kind of position there. Spiders inside of Friday and on top of what was resistance support. So no big deal. The weekly chart has implications of being a big deal. Reason being, the two prior weeks sideways and you know, again, repeating the dip on SPX down to 6,200. It comes all the way back up. So Wednesday's low becomes a critical reference point on the daily time frame and the weekly time frame. So a violation of that low, especially on a closing basis, is going to suggest a short-term correction. And this is a void right here because of the strength that preceded that consolidation. So no doomsday scenario right now. The trend is up. The trend is up. We've had a few weeks of consolidation, and that says it should go higher. So shock patterns are patterns that do things that the charts do not suggest is going to happen. It's as simple as that. So the bias is this is going to go up. There should be buyers on the dip. And if it breaks below here, something's wrong. Plain and simple. Qs, bit stronger, grinder, Wednesday's low, right? Weekly chart, don't go there. IWM, same choppy price action, gapping down a bit, not a big deal. So we're in the middle of nowhere here at the open as far as a strong bias. Well, we do have a strong bias. Things are in uptrends in multiple timeframes. They should go up, and they shouldn't violate that. And we provided technical levels as to where that would change. So right now, what's happening, not a big deal. A few others here, mid caps chopping around. This is where the money should flow into catch up kind of things, right? Mid caps, small caps. Regional banks, right? Now that's closer to resistance, but you can see these are the ones that have lagged and could play some catch up. So as these earnings reports are coming out, and there'll be more financials this week, we want to see what those financial stocks are going to be doing. Some are already out, Goldman and JP Morgan. And so financials have pulled back to the rising 20 bottoming tail bar, a little consolidation here, constructive weekly chart, potential to go higher. Right. And I'll get to SPX in a second. Technology, it's getting extended, more extended. It's in an uptrend. No sign of any weakness yet. Wednesday's low, critical across the board, everywhere. Right. So far, right. Little morning weakness here, little gap down. We're just going to have to see where it goes this morning. And software, that had that nasty break. Some of the software stocks got clobbered within this indice, this ETF, and this came right back up to the highs. And so now a different pattern, but the same message. Right? We've got a bullish 180, sort of a bear sandwich. This isn't a, total, it's got a bottoming tail bar, but hey, common sense. Broke out, big down, big up, suggests it's going higher like everything else. Better not go back down below these lows. Right. SPX, and I'll hand it over to Dan. Right. This strike came up a little bit. This is interesting. Things are down a little bit, but they went up Thursday, Friday. So the put side came up and the call side came down from where we had it on Friday. Relatively tight. I mean, it's opening up here. The trend is up. So you would think it could go up there. It's got to take out yesterday's high. I wouldn't call either of these no-brainers, but when we look at, here, the 65-minute chart and the advance that happened from Wednesday into Friday, it's created, let's just call it a mini void. So I gravitate more toward the call side, not being able to go up there today. And because it's gapping down, it's within the trading range, so it's still bullish, right? So this gap down doesn't mean much of anything. This was strength, and it's consolidating at that resistance. And if it could stay up here, and again, I'm just talking, you know, as I'm thinking, if this could stay up here till 10 o'clock, and even though it's gapping down, that begins to reinforce the prior strength and saying, well, yeah, it was probably related to options expiration, but that's over. And consolidating at resistance after a momentum move is bullish. And that would suggest going higher. And, if it breaks below here, it's got a void. And that would mean to me, look at shorting some futures on a short term basis, but the uptrend would still be intact on the daily. In other words, be nimble if you're an intraday trader, as always. From a swing trading perspective, I'm not seeing it as far as getting on board here. Let's see how the week progresses. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, spiders gave up. I'm sorry, the Qs gave up the entire morning gap. So hopefully I won't be as busy. Some Mondays are just crazy. It's going to be with alerts going on, open trades. But I do have a number of alarms that went off. I always like doing that first because alarms are your merchandise, both for open positions. I want to see if I have a gift or a problem child. And then alarms on opens, on our wax list to see if how they're gonna trigger for our plan of trading the open. So ACN alarm, I did a put spread on this, up alarm is off. So I adjusted that put spread. TISI. Up alarm. I gave this as a put spread, buy set up daily, weekly. Look how this was making the turn all week long on support. What would make it a better directional is a bottoming tail. So it still looks like a directional, but I'm thinking maybe only to 20 MA. That's why I like to put spread better. Yeah, that alarm went off. Well, yeah, hold on. All right, BAC alarm just went off. A little downside shakeout, rising 20, 50, void. So that was going to be long calls. Actually, let me tell. Well, no, I'll wait for the open. Yeah, bull alarm went off. Down alarm. It actually gapped down on Friday, Volley or Neil. So it's not the stop is Friday's a low, but just eyeballing it here, it looks like greater than 50%. So yeah, it's yeah. Did we want that to happen on this breakout on volume? No, but we still have an open profit. And yeah, I got it here in the bottom right. I'll be watching it. Apple. This is in the weekly options letter. I gave a put spread, but also 30-minute high. Look at the weekly, nice turn. Kind of a pseudo 1, 2, 3 there, so it's a directional watch also. AMTM alarm just went off. This is a 1, 2, 3, and then uptrend. Sierra Golf. bottoming pattern, up alarm. So this one, I'll say if it gaps over it, then 5-minute high. Sierra Golf. So, and then also this to see. All right. I did a couple notes there to the advisory. Spy G alarm. My up alarm went off. Wow. What totally jumps out at you all from this pre-market chart to the spiders? Well, I'll just tell you, if this bar is correct, this one's at the high, SPY, S&P growth, and SPY, look at that big retracement lower. Oh, yeah, it is there, Greg. Arrow, HQO. The problem is, oh, this was, okay, I was confused there for a second, thinking this was pre-market, but it's not. That was into the close on Friday. It looks higher, you know, because of that big move. You need a top under that big 15-minute bar to start, Raul. And no, I missed Frenchie. I didn't see Frenchies. SCCO. I don't like the deep retracement, but let's, maybe 30-minute high with the gap up. It could be maybe a 1 to 4 day bounce. That's copper. But I actually looked at that over the weekend. There was an article in Barron's about copper. And compare that to this one, CPER. This blasted when Trump talked about the 50% tariffs. Now we got kind of a bull rectangle. So I like this pattern a whole lot better than SCCO. So this looks good. Back to alerts, Oplo. We've been in this. I said sell a third pre-market. We're in at 61, so we have an $8.50 gain on a little swing trade. Alex, remember the day that we gave this? I think you might have been yelling at me for this resistance over here. But we traded it right over here. So we got a nice open game. MOH, I've been watching these guys. There's no turn yet. This one has earnings this week, the 23rd. This would be a good pattern, ignoring earnings. If it were to gap down $20 today, then it would be a gap and snap. But look at this 15-minute chart. There's zero reversal yet. And there's three of them that kind of been trading together. UNH looks bad, and whatever the third one is, I got it here somewhere. Twilio, up alarm. I set an alert. Went over 133 this morning. Nice little 180 breakout there after downside shakeout. So I said 5-minute low. We'll go ahead and take third. But see, that was a judgment call because I was thinking of saying sell a third pre-market at 133. But the only reason I didn't is because this is so strong, 15, and it might have been a gap and go. And so I just made the decision, let me get a 5-minute low, maybe we can squeeze, another dollar or two out of it for the first third. I still think it's going higher. Alpha Golf. That's a dog. Alaska Airline, I heard on the news. They shut down all their planes for some reason. I don't know why. but they're up now, so I just wanted to see how how that affected the chart. And guess what? It's a nice little buy setup after breakout. So I put an alarm up here at 53.50. If it can take out Thursday's high and negate the bad news, then that's bullish. SMCI alarm. I think that's old alarm because it's doing nothing. Oh, CNC was the third dog in the healthcare. So there's zero turn. All right, let's go to earnings now. Reiner to Air, $59. Yeah, that's bullish. Let's watch this 30-minute high. Verizon. Wow, that thing's got beaten down. So gapping up to 42. It's just a gap in a downtrend. I got no interest. SAC-T. If you like playing with penny stocks, the bottoming patterns, this could be one. But target like 3.25 is all. And it's whipping around on the 15. I got enough to watch. Rock. No pattern. PFBC, no volume. Cliff Clavin is copper. Slopped around. Put spread maybe. Nice bottoming pattern on the weekly. Pizza Man. That's an igniting gap. I could put spread if there's any juice. I think traditionally he's pretty spreading. Yeah, I got pins on my list here, both for directional and put spread. Yeah, nice gap. But it's a big gap, so I don't want to chase. I want to pull back. But yeah, looks good. I got it there in my middle chart. Netflix for a drop slide. Yes. Yeah, we had a nice call spread on that on Friday on the gap down. 0 DTE, and I looked in the weekend to do another one. And you get this when the premiums are so high, you can't get a good credit. So I looked for a $5 wide and it was only like 22 cents. But this is a bearish end of day base. So 5-minute low, definitely looks like a day trade or swing trade. I mean, not a no-brainer swing just because of the support over here, but the fact that it broke down once, gapping under a green bar, and the big old void on the weekly. Yes, definitely looks lower. Yes. Where did I leave them? GCOS alarm. This is the medical instruments look horrible. We have a couple short ideas in there. It's down a lot, but we went through the entire sector and obviously picked the ones that were tighter to resistance in the 20. PSEC. Another little bottoming pattern, long watch over Friday's high. That was an early alarm. XYZ got added to the S&P on 500, but no pattern. I wonder if there was, there was some speculation on that because that was a nice 3-bar move, but nothing to do with it now. A-Lab, that's a bullish gap of too extended. Daily 15 bull. We know. Little problem child. We'll watch. I looked at PayPal. No, that's okay. I looked at PayPal after I looked at XYZ, and this is a nice retest of a red bar reversal. So I already looked for a put spread on this. There was no premium, but I don't like it as a directional because you're slamming into this. But it's a beautiful put spread idea. If anyone wants to look. Win is a call spread. I see Alaska is up. Twilio. See why I made that determination to wait for a 5-minute low? Because we already talked about it because of this bullish 15. So now 5-minute low for a third. And if it gets climactic, we'll try to sell into strength a third. Our ACM doing good. LC 2-minute low. Yeah, spreads are ridiculous on ACM. Wow, juice, diamonds ripped to the high. Impressive. Meta, Google is flying. We have Tesla and Google reporting earnings this week. LC. It's a grinder. It's up a lot, but yeah, I call that more of a grinder. Yeah, I'm not liking this test, not this bull either. Bottom right. I'm in it. C-Web, low alarm coming in. We have a half, so be looking to buy a half. Oscar November grinder. Lunar. That's something I got make it puts on this Watai up alarm in our ETF letter. Set of alarms. 25:30. Lunar, I'm not liking. SSI. If you get filled on the put spread, it's a go. All right, BAC is a go if you get filled at the limit price that I gave. There's ACN doing nothing. Apple is a go on the put spread. I like this 30-minute high. I'll go ahead and post it. And then stop Wednesday's low. Put spring. Give you all this. This is on the weekend letter. Amazon's triggering. That's a puts. We're already in AMZU, the leverage one, but this was a put spread also. All right, Apple was 207, 205. So no, we're not getting filled on Apple yet. Amazon, the 222. $217, 67. We wanted 80. Let's do 75 is okay. OFIX alarm. OFIX. OFIX. This was one of our shorts was triggering and that healthcare thing. Or wait, maybe it's no, I don't have this one. Okay, all right. So this one I just had as an additional watch, but same sector. So Greg, I know you didn't like a couple of them or whatever, but they're still posted. This one I did not post. Wasn't sure the reward to risk with this prior low over here, but I got an alarm just went off. Maybe more of a day trade. Yeah, that's good. Sierra Golf. That's, um, yeah, Sierra Golf, let's wait 5-minute high. You know, it's up at that resistance over there, 1461.